Hello, my name is Diana. I am the program coordinator here at the Buchanan Area Senior Center. This is Conversations with Friends. We are featuring Doyle Vergon today. Such a blessing to have him and to hear his stories and experiences he has had and some recent experiences, but jumping out of a plane and was it a plane?
Airplane.
Airplane.
Right.
Oh my gosh! So an airplane and with the parachute. So that's gonna unfold in our conversations with his journey. We're so very welcome. I'm very grateful that he is with us today. So Doyle, I'm gonna hand it over to you, and just tell us a little bit about you. Did you grow? I don't know. Did you grow up in Buchanan?
Yes, born and raised in Buchanan.
Okay.
Lived here virtually all my life. And kind of a, and I guess I have to warn everyone. I have to be probably pretty factual or truthful. There's too many in the audience that know me.
I had some relatives in there too.
Yes.
I have recently learned that Norman Metzger and Doyle are brothers and sisters. So that was exciting, yes.
And of course, my bride is here, so
Yes, his beautiful bride who we love so much.
very well. No, I as I say, I was born in Buchanan. Yes, in the so-called Depression era. I'm a Depression baby, and I'm almost proud of the fact because I think it has a bearing on your life forever. And I was the youngest of five, and three brothers and one sister. And I don't know of anything spectacular about childhood growing up other than, enjoyed it. And I don't know if I enjoyed it so much at the time as I do looking back upon it. But it was mother Pennsylvania Dutch heritage, and dad was farmer down in Indiana. And they both survived for a good many years. And dad started his own business at the very beginning of the Depression in a garage business, auto repair in a gas station and so forth. And heck of a time to be starting a business, but he seemed to make a go of it, and he done very well. And somehow he provided for us five, and I can't say any time during the so-called lean years that I ever went hungry. I think there's days that probably could have had a little more goodies or something, but they just didn't come forth quite as readily. But and even mom, I think, worked out of the office, so to speak, at home. She was a homemaker, but she did. She even took in boarders, and to the life of to this day, even my sister and I have talked about this many times. How in the world she took in boarders when we have five kids in the house, and the house really isn't that big, but somehow we survived, and we had a good upbringing. Went to Buchanan High. I started in Dewey Avenue School, which of course is no longer there. Then as Norm, we going up to high school, in the fifth grade on up, and graduated from high school there. And that's about it. A thumbnail in the growing up years, so to speak.
Yeah. So with this community right now, the way Buchanan is evolving and growing, being the nicest city in America, and new businesses with marijuana, but also just with the development of what Buchanan, what they're striving to do with Buchanan now, and back to the days when you were, in high school and growing up here. How do you feel with that change?
Oh, drastically, because it was a different era. We didn't, we walked everywhere practically, or rode a bicycle or something. We didn't have a lot of car transport. Well, we had cars, of course, but not, as freely used as they are today. And I think one of the things that's kind of probably many people in here remember these days, but we had so many little local stores, little grocery stores. There must have been, I don't know how many in Buchanan. I tried to make a list of them one day, and I think there was at least 10.
Oh, that is a lot.
Yes, where you could go around the corner and get a bottle of milk or loaf of bread or something, you know, and they were all walking distances. And you know, there was on 4th Street and Lake Street and Cayuga and up in the Heights,
Okay.
and you know, they were all over, just scattered all over, and it was quite a couple years back. It was quite an issue when they started making deliveries from recent grocery stores. You know, they made a big issue out of the fact that you could phone your orders in and so forth. Well, Frank Porman done that 40 years ago. 50 years
Then
ago.
that was, yeah, and that was really personal service
Yes.
back then. And having your gas pumped for you as well.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Just,
And then with the Clark moving in and
Yes,
building, that had to
yes.
have been like a huge,
of course, and I recall, I'm old enough to recall the Warriors at Clark's and at Clark, and it made Buchanan. I mean, you know, the Second World War. I mean, Clark was no different than any other company coming out of the Depression, and it really helped their business. And of course, I can recall on River Street there, where I was born. I was born in that house on River Street, where my sister-in-law lives today, and the path along through there was orchards and so forth. Well, before River Street plant was put in, and the one right along the highway there, or the River Street, and of course it was put in then, I don't know, it was in the 40s sometime, I think, and here it was torn down already. You know, it's just complete. But no, Clark was what I vaguely, quite readily remember about Clark was of course, it was Warriors, and they had production schedules to meet with all their products, and there was a blast of horn about 4 or 5 times a day. You could hear it all over town. 8 o'clock it tooted, and I think it was 12, and then I think we call it 10 minutes to 1 o'clock, and then 5 o'clock.
oh,
And
really?
that let everybody know that you're supposed to be somewhere in relationship to Clark anyway. And of course, there were other industries in Buchanan. Electric Voice wasn't quite as popular then, but we had Buchanan Steel Products, which there again, natives will recall the thumping of the hammer mills down there.
I've heard
Boom,
people
boom, boom, boom. You could hear that all over town. But no, it's a different time. That's for
Did you
sure.
work for Clark?
Pardon?
Did you work for Clark?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. After service, well, I had 3 brothers. In high school, junior year, I joined the National Guard in Niles, tank company, and was in that till graduated, and then shortly after I went into the Marine Corps, and I had 3 brothers in the Marine Corps as well.
Okay.
And one in World War II, and the other 2 in Korea and Vietnam and so forth. But 3 of us, my brother Fred, Chuck, and myself, were all 3 in Korea. Not at the same time, but I felt that, well, I was the last one, and I had to join the Marines. They wouldn't let me live if I didn't follow suit. No, I had a good duty, good service. Both coasts in the United States, and I was, after schooling in North Carolina, after boot camp and schooling, I went to what they call a draft. You know, when they went a whole group to go through, and there was a draft come through that they wanted somebody in Korea, and I volunteered for that and was selected, and I got to go to Korea. So
Okay.
other than that, I would have stayed the whole time, I think, in North Carolina, but I didn't want that. But I was in for 3 years, and good time. It was pleasant. It was, I enjoyed it, and I've heard so many people say that about the military service. They don't know if do it again, but I wouldn't trade the experience for the world. You know, it's just very, very good experience. And then when I got out, I met my bride, and we tied the knot, and we eloped.
Here. Do I have any problems hearing?
It's working?
Yeah. Do you mind holding that?
No.
That's better.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, his sister is gonna have him.
Speak up.
I'm sorry if you can't hear me, holler.
Oh, I heard you. That's good. I heard you.
No, we eloped. Angola, Indiana was a hot spot for eloping at that time, and that's where we headed. And it was kind of a surprise, I think, to our parents. And it was March, it was kind of cold. My parents had a cabin up north in White Cloud, so we honeymooned there for a week and froze to death. But it was
What year was that?
57.
1957?
Yes, 1957.
Now, how did you meet then? I love these stories.
At the restaurant. And now
Pardon?
it's at the restaurant. now.
Yeah, I know the story, Mom. You want to come up and set my lap? Tell me?
I should have you guys sit together. I just go over there.
No, there was a pub in Niles called the Averys. It's no longer there, and it was kind of a hangout. And the guys were there one night, and the girls, and unbeknown to one another, so to speak, and we got met and talked and so forth. And I guess if she's now telling the story that I did ask her out. She said, "Will you call me tomorrow and I'll let you know, because I don't think you remember even being here." And I shocked her, and I did call, and that was the beginning. And we were kind of a thing then for quite a while until we made the trip to Angola. So that was our courtship. It was rather quick, I guess, but then married, and I was working for my dad in the garage at that time, and finally we kind of, I don't know what really triggered it, but I had the GI Bill coming for being in the military, so we decided that I'd go to school. So I went to Ferris, and 3.5 years later, I'm through. We went year round and got through a little bit sooner than normal, and it was great. It was I had a job besides going to school and so forth. I worked, I don't know, 35 hours a week or something, and Judy worked, and she got her degree too, as putting hubby through, and and I got my bachelor's degree. So,
Oh my goodness.
and from that point, we returned to Buchanan, and I interviewed at Clark and was accepted, and so I started working for Clark at that time.
Wow, congratulations.
So that was a quick whirlwind through the ages, I guess.
Yeah.
Tell about the maid of honor.
The maid of honor
Man.
Oh,
and the best man.
going to Angola, we were on the Indiana Toll Road, which was just opened at that point in time, 1957. And we were motoring down the road and looked over, and here two of my buddies were going alongside in the car. Of course, they knew that we were eloping, but little did I realize that they didn't, well, I can't say they weren't invited, but we didn't know they were going to join us. But they took a trip to Angola with us, and they stood up with us actually in the wedding. And to this day, they're still arguing which one was best man and which one was the bridesmaid.
That's funny.
But one of them, close friends, one of them passed and one of them still with us, and he still talks about it today, that he was the best man, not the bridesmaid, so.
That is hilarious. Oh my gosh. Yeah, he gets the last say, right?
Yeah, it was, couple of years back. You remember the good times, I guess, so,
That's good. You're very positive.
yes. And, no, and then later in life, I guess, after Clark, I was on the city commission here for 9 years, I guess, being a mayor one of the 9, and mayor pro tem 1 year. And, got active in some of the local, happenings. American Legion, I'm still active, very active member in American Legion. I'm part of the, firing squad for military funerals. And we conducted, I think, better than 70 of them so far this year. It's just unbelievable. And I'm a member of the Preservation Society here in Buchanan, which still try to be as active as I can be. Later years, and when I still with Clark, but was winding down, but when I was on the commission, Buchanan was kind of in a, well, there were more, probably as many empty buildings as there was occupied. And Judy and I decided we were going to get into the antique business. So we bought a building downtown, restored it, which was desperately in need of such. It would happen to be the old Castle Jewelry Store. And we, a lot of sweat and tears went in that rebuilding. We all new wiring, all new plumbing, all new roof, all new everything you can imagine. And but it was labor of love, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, we were pretty happy with the business, successful anyway. And we finally sold it. It was very, very time consuming. We did keep actual hours. We were 7 days a week, and it was fun. I mean, we've enjoyed antiques practically all of our married life. Well, not quite. She wasn't into antiques when we got married, and I think she determined at an early time that I was old, so she had to join in. And of course, we had all kinds of family and friends helping with a lot of these projects that we acquired. They put as much time in some of these as we did, but it was great. And we like to think that we were one of the first businesses. We tore off the old Cornier. Cornier front was on a lot of the buildings downtown. That was when Cornier and Niles was promoting that years back. They go in and put a aluminum false front on the buildings, and we tore all that off and got it back down to brick, and which was a very expensive operation. But anyway, as I say, we like to think that we were some of the very first. We were one of the first to start some little bit of upkeep and renovation in downtown Buchanan. And of course, since then, of course, you know what's going on down there now. It's a lot of activity and a lot of restoration in the buildings, which is all good. Part of our collection of antiques and so forth, and when we had a business, we started obtaining old business signs that were in business through Buchanan over the years, and we had them displayed in the building. And when we left the business, we got out, sold the building. We gave all of the signs to the Preservation Society, which is on the second floor now of the mill.
Okay.
I don't know how many people have seen that, but it's quite frankly something to see. You should, if you haven't been there, well, you should see it. It's quite a collection of memorabilia. It's really nice. That's surprising the number of people you talk to that have not been even to the mill, and it's the restoration of the mill is really nice, and it's really something to see, and it's very it's rewarding, I guess. I mean, well, I guess you have to maybe like that type of thing, but it's a very, very rewarding for us to see that and have it available. The guess that's kind of the.
Yeah. Talking about the Piers Mill, I'm just kind of get off the track for a second, but I'm thinking that would be a wonderful place with all the information. And maybe we could do a field trip, and you can maybe like lead it and like tell and guide it. Would be a guided tour.
Sure. Well, I mean, there's a lot of active people in the Preservation Society.
you
They
or
probably
somebody.
do a better job at it than me. I would gladly partake, but I mean, it's of course, we have brochures with most of the signs listed in the brochure, and of course the whole downstairs is getting to be quite a Buchanan collection of odds and ends too. So it's really worthwhile to see.
Well, great. Well, I'll be in touch later. We go back to you. I'm like,
one of our recent finds, by the way, I mentioned briefly, is the Moore family had a business in downtown Buchanan at the corner of Days Avenue in front of the department store. And he collected a lot of old things and so forth, and some of the family, Mr. Moore and his wife are both gone, but the family have retained some of the things and so forth. Well, in one of their buildings, raised up in the ceiling, is an old farm wagon. And we believe it is one that was produced in Buchanan back in the turn of the century. Or at least it's a very, very close proximity as such. And the Moore family has been so gracious as to donate that to the mill, and we will be one of our next projects. It will have to be somewhat disassembled and then hauled, and then we will put it up in the ceiling again on the second floor. You can imagine it's quite an undertaking because it's a big wagon. It's a big farm wagon. So it's one of our next major projects for the mill. So it's kind of exciting.
yeah, that is really exciting. We don't really realize some of the things that they use and what's in people's barns. So having this opportunity where you guys are preserving, making sure that they're in a safe environment and being taken care of. So our children's and children's and children's will know some of the history here in the city.
Of course, another, to me, point of interest, as I mentioned, I'm still active in the American Legion, and not too many people realize we have more or less a military museum at the post, and it's open to the public anytime you want. Anytime the post is open, it's somebody will be there to let you in and show you around, and it's a very, very good collection of old military items and so forth. One of the features, of course, is one of the features, I don't know how many recall the photos on the side of one of the buildings downtown that were World War II veterans. And I don't know how many, but they're all in cases now, and you can still see all the photos of World War II members. It's really something, and it's another little hidden thing that a lot of people don't know about.
Yeah, I've been in there, I
Yeah.
believe. It's been a long time, but I
Yeah.
remember going in there. Yeah.
How many years were you in the Air Force?
I was in the Marine Corps for 3 years.
And where'd you go?
Korea.
Okay.
I mean, basically, back and forth in the United States and so forth, and was in Korea though.
And that was during the war? Or
Pardon?
was that post-war?
After the war, yeah.
After
Oh.
the
There
war.
was still rumbles and unbelievable conditions.
Yeah.
But and then later with Clark, I ended up in international sales, and I traveled quite a bit around, and I had the opportunity. I went back to Korea again as a civilian,
Oh, really?
and it's just unbelievable what has been done in that country. I
In
mean,
a positive way?
oh, definitely,
built up?
definitely. Oh, just unbelievable. They're industrialized and you know, of course, we all know about the North and South Korea. North Korea is still a mess, but South Korea is a very, very wonderful country. It's unbelievable. No, it's really, really turned around. No, I traveled not extensively, but hit a lot of different countries when I was in international sales with Clark.
Yeah.
South America and Europe and the Far East. I was in 6 months for Hong Kong, so establishing an office there. We had, I don't know, 2 children, I think, at the time, and 3, Mama tells me.
She was at home taking
And,
care of them, right?
She had the opportunity to join me over there while I was there, but she wanted to stay home and babysit, so I shouldn't say babysit, she reared the kids, which was great, but she missed out on a golden opportunity to live in Hong Kong. But it was enjoyable.
Yeah, well, thank you for your service. Thank you for your service and everything. It's
You said
really.
something about, you worked at, you were up at the Legion?
Yes.
Now, is that the one in Niles?
No, in Buchanan.
The one by the
yes,
hill.
I meant that.
Yeah, Buchanan,
I
yes.
don't know where the one is.
And our military service, as far as the funerals go, the American Legion post in Niles is almost disbanded. And so therefore we perform all of Niles services as well as Buchanan
Oh, wow.
and all the surrounding little areas. And, you know, we've been to South Bend, we've been to Benton Harbor, we've been to Doyle and a lot of areas around to perform the military services.
I have a question. Can people who haven't been in the military go up there and have a meal of that? Because I know I went up there and got something, because I needed something for a friend to get in and out of a bathtub or that, and nobody else had it.
Yes,
The lady was real nice. She let me get that for the time being, because they were having surgery.
yes, we have an unbelievable amount of crutches, wheelchairs, beds, and I was just in there yesterday, in fact, in the room, and look, we've got some motorized vehicles, you know, for scooters, I guess you call them, and it's all for loan basis, yes.
She asked me if I wanted to eat something, but I was in a rush. But
No, technically to when there's a meal, okay, lots of Friday nights, the Sons of the American Legion put on steak fries and so forth. Now, that is open to the public, and theoretically to be served any drinks, you must be a member or be sponsored by a member.
to have a drink.
To have any alcohol beverages, yes. But on Monday night, they've been having a meal also, and it's a donation type thing, and they're quite good. And you just go in and you can, and that's to the public too, if you'd like. And but no alcohol unless, again, you're sponsored with someone. But other than that, it's a good thing. It's a good opportunity.
So there's just a way just to help out the community and for our fundraiser.
Yes.
Okay.
What were the years that you were in the Air Force?
And Marine Corps, 1952 to 1955.
I see.
Yes.
You say that you value the years that you spent in the service. What were the values do you feel that you received from that time?
Good experience in education. I mean, if I hadn't been in the service, well, later I was in international sales and I got to travel worldwide, but other than that, I would not probably have been able to, the average person doesn't go to Europe or Germany or Australia or any place, you know, unless you're so involved or so inclined, you know.
Yeah.
But it's a golden opportunity to travel.
I don't think people realize that all the plastic that we see around us today wasn't there before World War II. And I mean, all our playthings and everything were made actually out of wood or aluminum or
Steel, yeah.
what would you refer to it? It was the actual stuff.
Sure,
And with
definitely.
World War II came plastics.
Yeah,
And weren't they developed in the service? It came out of the service somehow.
to a certain extent, yes, but it's just, I don't know, well, there's been plastic for a good many years, not in the use that it is today, but well before probably any of us were born, it was plastic, but not in the use like it is today.
Yeah.
No, and like you say, everything was made of wood or something very substantial and so forth, but that's basically my wife and my endurance. I mean, we dearly love old things. That's the only thing we have in our house is old things, you know, including the occupants. And but the other sad part, to carry the plastic thing on just a little bit further. I mean, we all get in the paper or ads and so forth, and you pick it up page after page after page, all the trinkets and all the goodies and everything you can imagine. And just stop to think it's all from China.
Yeah.
Trying to find something in the market today in a normal store,
Everything's
it's China.
Yeah.
And it's going to be our ruination in this country if we don't change our ways. It's my personal opinion.
Yes, I agree.
and making it in the USA is going to put a higher price on the items also.
Sure will, because we have,
We pay,
our
yeah.
labor market is up to the point that they're making more money. And, you know, you can get something made in Hong Kong or in Taiwan or in China or any place, you know. It used to be that way with Japan, but it's no longer. You
Yeah.
pay as much for Japanese stuff today as you do anything else. But it's something we have to do. I mean, it's, you know, in all of our ages, and as I look around, myself included, you know, that a lot of this isn't going to come to an end while we're still with us, but here, but you know, thinking another 50 years what's going to transpire, and it's kind of shaky. But I don't mean to get on a tangent that way.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about your adventures. You have 2 adventures, I believe, over the last year and a half. Was it fall? You know what I'm talking about. You jumped out of a parachute last year, what, 2020 and 2021 too, twice?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna let you take over.
Okay.
This is crazy.
One day, I don't remember exactly when, it doesn't matter, but I was on a project up to Legion, take care of a lot of the groundwork and so forth, and I was up there doing something, I don't remember what, and one of the Legion members, Larry Money by name, who is quite influential in the Legion state-wise. He was our state commander at one point in time, and active in our American Legion post in Buchanan, and he stopped by and through his contacts and so forth, and he was approached and they were looking for somebody, a Korean veteran, to skydive, and he wanted to know if I was available, and I couldn't, I was just dumbfounded. I didn't know what to say. You know, they talk about these wish lists, or you're on your
Bucket list?
and so forth. I assure you, skydiving was not on my bucket list. But I thought, well, he explained what it was all about, and it was for a military cause, for purposes, and I didn't know the whole history, of course, at that point in time, and I said, well, yes, great. And he said, well, you better check at home. And so we jumped in the car and drove up and told my bride, or asked my bride, or told my bride, I don't remember which. I say one thing and she says another. But anyway, we agreed. And I signed up and said, yes, I would like to do it. And as it developed, the organization started by the name of Ryan Parrott, and he's a Navy SEALs veteran, served in the Middle East and all the combats and episodes over there. And one interesting little tidbit, he was in a Humvee and got exploded, and he blew him right straight up in the air. And he didn't get a scratch. He was fine. And all of his friends and everything, he says, they started calling me Birdman because he went up in the air, and he still has that handle today as Birdman prayer. But anyway, he got out of the military, and when I say he didn't get a scratch, he did get some severe burns in this accident, and he was in the hospital with this problem, and found that he wasn't there. Burn victims weren't getting a lot of attention. They were, getting medical aid and aid and everything, but not to the extent that they did for a lot of other problems that the veterans were incurring. So he started the company, Sons of the Flag. He has a book here, it's very interesting. And the purpose of this, he looking for people and donations to support and obtain doctors and so forth to take care of the burn units of all the veterans. And today they do a fantastic job with their organization. But he was trying to find some method to promote his organization, and he kept thinking about this one series of paratroopers that they called it a daisy jump, in which there were several of them jump out of an airplane, parachutes on, but they don't have a cord. They're tied to one another. In other words, the first guy out is tied to the second guy, and third guy, and fourth guy, and so forth. The last guy out of the plane has the master control to open the chutes for all the succeeding ones down the way. And you can imagine it's kind of scary. I would not raise my hand for something like that, believe me. And but he thought that he was going to try something spectacular like that as a means or way to promote his organization. And finally thought, well, I'm going to try to get, and this is the start of it, he wanted to get veterans from all the various world wars that there's still veterans available, and started contacting various organizations, and finally come up with 10 people, well, myself being the 10th, but he had 2 from World War II. They were better than 90 years old. He had another Korean vet was 90, and had myself, and then he had from Vietnam and from Afghanistan, and he also had one of the firemen that was in the 9/11 in September.
Oh, wow.
One of the, well, he's a fireman, and he started including them as far as the military, the veterans as well. And that was the start. And of the 2 of the later Afghanistan and the other Middle East fiasco, one was a Medal of Honor winner, one was a double amputee, both legs off, and the Medal of Honor winner was missing an arm. And they were all become jumpers. And that was the makeup of the 10. And we were all together at Kansas City. They provided all the transportation. A lot of the people, the World War II veterans were from Michigan, and myself, and they flew a private jet around to pick us up, took us to Kansas City for this jump. And Judy got to go along with me on that trip. And just unbelievable, the attention. We got in Kansas City and checked in and thought, well, where's the rest of the group? Well, we've come to find out we're to meet them out at the airport. Kind of impressed because Brian and his crew come in a big, I don't know, 747 or something like that, and all donated, and just, you can imagine a plane that holds, I don't know, 200 or 300 people. I don't know what it was, 15 people got off this plane. That's how kind of impressive when you start to think about it, that all the help and donations that he gets to promote this thing. Anyway, it all got organized, and we, next day, this in Kansas City, where the whole situation was all based at the World War I Museum in Kansas City, and unbelievable facilities. If you ever had the opportunity the interest to see museums, well, it is certainly a museum to see. But that's where we had our sessions, and they told us more what we were going to do. And the weather wasn't very nice, and we questioned whether we were going to be able to jump the next day. And it started to rain, and it got cold, and they don't want anybody jumping in the rain, I guess. So, but the cold, we got up next morning, and the rain had stopped, and we were able to complete our jump. But that was, of course, my first episode at this, and it was 30 degrees at ground level, but out of the plane at 12,000 feet, it was something down around zero. But you're in that temperature only for such a very, very short time that you're through it, and you're back down and still cold weather. But the actual experience coming, the jump itself, of course, is it's a tandem jump. You're with another individual. You'll see it pretty soon. She's going to show some of this, and they're holding you and when you jump and what have you, and it's something. I just in the whole the whirlwind of activity. I never, for some reason or other, I'm not a brave person. I never was scared about anything. I mean, you have so much confidence in this group and people that is putting this all together that your confidence only builds every day or every hour of the event, because these people are so. My holder has jumped thousands and thousands of times, and you just stop to think about it, and they're very, very professional people. And it's anyway, in the plane up there. Myself, it's a small plane, and you're sitting on the floor, and you're strapped in with your holder, and we were. My holder was right next to the door, and the door comes up, and you're sitting there, and we got up to altitude, and they started in. He says, "All right," my holder told me, "All right, here we go." And you're rolled out. I didn't have the opportunity. I was the first one out, and it didn't look or anything until we got started to fall, and then it goes woof, the chute opens. And it's over before you start, really. And you're down on the ground, and you come in. You see movies and everybody coming into a parachute like this. Well, you come in when you're tandem. You come in with your feet up, and you come in sliding on your butt, and that's where you land. And it's
Yeah, let's take a peek at that.
Doesn't that hurt?
no, it's
Not if you're well cushioned.
doesn't hurt at all. No.
I'm so happy to be alive that you don't.
Yeah, well, as I say, that's I don't know. It's just so hard to believe. You cannot. The sensation. It's it's. I've had some friends of mine that jump, and individually, they were parachuters, so to speak. They jumped and pulled the cord, and the whole works. And I never thought too much about it. And I never thought I wanted to do any of that, but I done this. So anyway, we all got our jumps in and everything in Kansas City, and probably, that was on Veterans Day. And then later, probably, I don't know when it was, November, I think.
I think-
December, excuse me. Bland and his producers and so forth made a car trip around talking to all of the jumpers.
Oh, I haven't
They
seen
showed up
that.
here in Buchanan and wanted to know more about us. We had a gathering, a little dinner for them at the Legion Post and so forth. They drove up to the UP and what have you to talk to the ones up there, just to find out more about the individuals. We spent all day just quizzing us, you know, and explaining that
Kitty?
sometime soon there's going to be another episode, and this is just the first jump. There's going to be another one. Well, we didn't know too much more about the second one at that point in time, and other than they did indicate that they're going to probably get it up at altitude that we'll probably need oxygen when we jump. It's quite a ways up.
Oh, wow.
And we didn't hear from them for, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 months, something like that. And finally they determined that the second jump was coming up. It was down in Dallas, Texas. And that was another jump. We all got to go down to Dallas. Judy didn't go this time. She wasn't invited. I don't know why. She didn't behave herself the first time, I guess. I don't know why. But anyway, she didn't go. And we had weather problems down there as well. And it was rain. And in fact, we just got in base the last day. These are only 3-day events. 1 day there, and 1 day in activity, and 1 day back. So the evening, late afternoon of the second day, they finally found an airfield that hadn't been raining, and the rumor got floating around, well, you're going to be jumping in a pasture. There's going to be cows down there. It's the only place available we found that wasn't raining. And of course, the word gets around, you get a little concerned and wondering, what this is all about. Well, come to find out, this pasture was a 700-acre farm owned by 2 pilots. They're still flying for commercial airlines. Well, prior to opening this place, they were aerobatic, done trips and trains with their planes and flying low and everything, and they had so much disturbance, so they finally said, we'll fix that, we'll buy a place and we can buzz our own property. Well, this was way up in the middle. It's a gated community. They have one building right in the middle of the 700 acres. Unbelievable, you would not believe. You look out the balcony, and down at the lower level are 5 restored antique aircraft. I mean, that's their own hobby. That's their thing. Just an unbelievable spectacle. Anyway, we did jump, and there was cows down there, but I mean, they were secluded off to a different spot. So it was a farm, in other words, where we jumped. I have a nephew that lives in Houston, and they got word. I mean, we knew they was coming, so I knew I was jumping, so they come up and they were on the ground when I got there. But the second jump was, I was the last one out of the plane, and the procedure going out was a little bit different in that you sat on the edge of the doorway, and this one happened to be about 15,000 feet. And you had the opportunity or the occasion to look out, and all of a sudden you realize you're a long way up in the air. Everything looks pretty small. Anyway, I was, as I say, the last one out, and everything was fine, and that's kind of the end of the jump itself. So that was, I don't know if you can show that or no.
Well, I have the one down in Kansas City. That's the only one I saw.
Okay, yeah, excuse me, getting back to the one in Dallas, it was for promotion purposes. In other words, for the 10 tandem people, there was a jumper that went down with us additionally. He done all the photography work that's going to be used in the program when he gets it developed. he's photographing us as we come down, but he's on another shoot doing all this. And we were in free fall for quite a ways before we opened the shoot, because during so he had an opportunity to take more pictures of us as we was coming down. But we were down quite a ways before the shoot opened. And it was,
Do you have access to that? With some time we could see it?
Pardon?
Do you have access to that video?
We will eventually, yes.
Okay, well, let us know.
Okay.
So this is Doyle. This is, I think it was on 11/11/2020, right?
Yeah.
November 11th of year 2020, so
Yes.
just over a year ago. And let's get this going. Oops. Here. Come here. There you go.
So what year was this jump?
2020.
That's true.
Yeah.
Here we go, Willa.
In your nineties?
Yeah. 87, how's that?
How much?
87.
Oh.
When he took the jump, yeah.
Are there more jumps planned?
No more. That I know of.
Yeah.
Still up there? Nice girl, set up the park. Yeah.
There he is.
Thank you. Okay, thank you.
They provided all of us jumpsuits and everything, all that paraphernalia goes with it.
Great job. Great job there. Very well. Another coming right here.
We were greeted on the ground like we were some, I don't know, real dignitary. There were all sorts of news people there and run around taking pictures, and it was just unbelievable. And Ryan Birdman, he, the one that organized this, he himself, there's a 250-foot tower at the museum, and he went up and jumped off of that just with a parachute, and unbelievable. That's a very, very short distance to be jumping, and the time to have a chute open for him to hit the ground. And I didn't witness it, but seen it on films and so forth, because we were coming down at the time when all this was happening, but he was quite an individual. That's a very, very short jump to be making 250 feet.
Crazy.
Did you feel secure the whole time?
The whole time.
Did
Just
you really?
more so than I go to bed at night.
Oh, my God.
I can't stress that enough. It's just unbelievable. I mean, I'm not a brave person or anything, but I mean, I just, you have so much confidence in these people.
He was very sentimental about it.
You what?
He was very sentimental about
Oh, I can see why, yeah. Is that a different one that you have?
it. Yeah.
So
Oh.
Doyle, you were confident. Judy, how did you feel?
Not confident, I was standing out there.
Yeah.
Is that a YouTube one?
This
Because when I did my research, that's what I found.
is where Brian jumped off the tower.
Oh, okay, I saw, when I was researching, I saw that.
The,
So yeah, what do you have here?
this is one of the characters they've done for us. That isn't us actually, but they done it representing all 10 of us jumping out, you know.
There were,
And we have all the signatures around on the perimeter there of all
That
the
is
jumpers.
so cool. That's a lot of work that he put into that.
Oh, unbelievable. This was
which one were you in there?
this is our one down in Texas.
Okay. So here we have a
Actually, the
certificate
photo
of
was,
completion.
of the,
Which guy are you?
well, I'm not really sure. I mean, they're all just
Yeah,
characters.
they don't have their,
you
their
know.
faces.
This happens to be the chap
You
out of
can
the
see
fire
here
in
that folks
9/11.
watching
I
this,
know
this is
him.
a certificate, it has
And,
all the
I
10
mean,
numbers. This is from the one in
blind because of his
Texas.
helmet, you know, he's a fireman.
he had.
Maybe that's you.
Yeah, it could very well be.
This is a
seen
certificate
this,
of completion of jumping, skydiving, when he jumped out in Texas.
Well, I don't know, I named one
Yeah.
for him.
Well, Doyle, you are very, very interesting. What a legacy and a way that you have given back.
It's hard to tell.
I have a question. Now, in all these jumps, did you have somebody jumping with you?
Yeah, he
Oh,
was,
yeah. Somebody was holding me.
I once took a parachuting class up in Vergon, Illinois, when I was a college student. Each time, there was bad weather,
Yeah,
and I wanted to go, but then when you get out there, it is so high.
yeah.
But there was some, one of them they said was the rain,
Yeah.
and then there was too gusty and too windy.
Yeah. Well, you have to take certain precautions, I'm sure, but.
Yeah,
it,
I wanted to do it though, but I never really got the chance.
Well, we're gonna wrap this up.
Wait, what are the chances of breaking your legs when you come down and land?
Now, he said.
What's the chances there isn't gonna break your leg when you walk out of here and take a fall?
I could do that probably.
No, not to be funny, but no, it happens, sure. I mean, but you know, you come down with a pretty good thump.
Well, do they tell you to land on your feet or the rear end?
No,
Or?
on a tandem jump, we call it, when somebody's holding you, it's called a tandem jump. You're just going for the ride, so to speak.
Yeah.
But on a landing like that, they tell you upon contact, you put your feet up because you come in like this and you slide on your butt.
Okay.
Yeah, you just
That's when
slide
you
down.
are on
Yeah,
your
that
own.
video that show it.
Pardon?
On your own?
No, on your own, you come in on your feet.
That's what they were teaching us.
Yes.
But, and then roll.
Yeah, well,
But with the other person, you just go and put your legs up.
yes,
They're in control, so they're,
yes. And the other thing, if you're I've been told, if you're into parachuting, you're in a schooling type situation, you have to do 5 tandem jumps before they will enable you to run out and pull your own ripcord, go individually. I'm not going to do that. I've got a lot of confidence in other people, but I don't know if I've got that much confidence in myself.
I didn't want to pull it either because I didn't know when it was going to be pulled.
thank you everyone for being here. My name is Diana. Of course, we're from the Buchanan Area Senior Center. Doyle, I'll just turn that off. Thank you. You are amazing, and I got to know you, so thank you so much. I had no idea what kind of rich history you had within the city of Buchanan. You know, being the mayor and all your time at Clark and how it's your family's business.
I did forget one little tidbit that I normally tell about myself. In 1969, decided to leave Clark and took a job in Austin Western, Illinois, with another construction machinery company. And we thought that was going to be our life in Aurora. Well, then 5 years later, 4 I guess it was, Clark Equipment Company bought this company that I joined. So I'm back with Clark.
It's back around full circle.
And the bottom line of that is that they bought the company to get me back.
That is beautiful. I love it. You have such a great.
Not a lot of people believe that.
I believe you. I know, I do. I believe you. And I love your outlook too. I just really want to let you know your outlook and just the way you look back and see positive and the way that you share your stories with us with grace and and humble and honors. Thank you.
A lot of it goes back, just like Judy got her diploma, putting hubby through. Well, she's put me through life, so.
Yeah. Well, teamwork. So I think that's wonderful. So thank you so much. One thing I always like to lead off of the conversation with friends. what words of wisdom would you like to share?
Stick with Judy.
I don't know if there is any, other than, be kind, be good to one another, join in and help people out, vote.
Those are good things. Those are good things. Well, thank you, everyone here that showed up. Thank you so much. Those at home watching, thank you so much for being a part of this. We are very grateful. Thank you.
Thank you.